Gamescom 2013 live from Cologne, Germany. I am Lee D-Man Smith, and of course alongside me is Joshua Jatleesman.
And how is it going today, D-Man? I'm happy to be here because we have a bunch more wildcard action here, and now, after yesterday, we really get down to business.
Yeah, we managed to lose one nation. It is, unfortunately, was the Mexicans. They went to the wayside, despite the fact, actually, we thought they'd have a really good showing.
Yeah, it was kind of strange because the power level of that team coming in was kind of a North American challenger team, and we were wondering what the level of the international wildcard teams. Apparently higher than that because they went 5th place.
Indeed. So it is time for our first international semi-final series between the second seeded Gaming Gear, EU, the Lithuanian team, and of course the third seed, the Australians. It is Team Immunity. This is a rematch of our last wildcard. Yesterday was the last match where we saw Gaming Gear bringing Heavens and Immunity down to earth.
Yeah, and the key to that victory was NBS's Trindamir split pushing, even though it didn't show in the scoreline, because he opened up a lot of opportunities for their mid laner Mazarin to just pick up a bunch of kills. Mazarin went 16-2-9 as Gragas, including that ridiculous double kill at Baron where he just blew up 2 people immediately. And that was actually the second big play of the day that Mazarin had with Gragas around Baron. He actually stole Baron in an earlier game that completely turned the game around.
Yeah, and of course, let's not forget those Trindamirs along the top lane that just caused them problems in the previous games. There was a lot of action that happened yesterday, so overall, while Gaming Gear, they did have a barrel of fun yesterday, of course, and it was the first day at Gamescom. It wasn't exactly pleasurable for Immunity.
No, not necessarily. Immunity had an amazing start to the day where we actually kind of thought they might be the top team here, but then they had that disappointing end, losing a couple in a row. I really liked their chances today, though, because I remember Shox' interview with Alicia later, and it seemed like that Team Immunity really kind of knows how to play the game, and I think they're going to be able to make the necessary adjustments. Yeah, they talked about how they've had to research the teams before they got there. So, of course, we'll see whether the team, of course, from Down Under can pick it up today against Gaming Gear, and it would go a long way towards putting Australia on the esports map.
Well, we're a League of Legends team from Oceania, and we're here for the International Wildcards tournament in Gamescom. Really excited. Obviously, it's a great honor to represent the region. There's a huge player base, but esports is sort of still a baby in Australia.
Yeah, historically, we've been dominating the Australian scene, and obviously, the next step is to go international.
Huge spotlight on the region if we do win the wildcard tournament. This is our first international tournament, so it's a whole new experience for us. After we 2-0'd, a lot of people have been hyping us up and saying, oh, look out for Team Immunity.
It was going great. We won 2 games and eventually lost the rest.
It's a lot easier back in Australia, because we know we're a lot better than the other teams. So even if we're down early game, quite often we'll say, okay, let's just farm turtle, and they'll make a mistake and then we'll capitalize and we'll win the game. We can't get too carried away with the hype and the promotion. I think we need to just concentrate and play our game.
We got to improve our laning and also getting everyone's spirit back up after losing. I don't know, it's just been around for so long, Take stuff seriously and just joke around sometimes,
There's definitely a few moments where people do some pretty dumb things which we just laugh at, and if we're playing a game we'll just randomly bring it up.
There's been a lot of funny incidents when we've traveled. Our top laner went into the plane bathroom and drank plain water when it said do not drink.
The traveling was tough, but everyone, I'm glad everyone got through in one piece. Being a very domesticated team because we never get to travel overseas, you finally see, oh look, those are the casters, all the lighting, all the design, it just, screamed a lot of value.
The stage was awesome.
Especially if you're making a play or something and you pull it off and you hear the crowd, it definitely it boosts up your morale a lot.
When we go back to Australia, we're going to take a lot out of this tournament, practice regimes, champions, schedules, stuff like that. I
think we definitely have a very good chance of winning this tournament if we keep practicing from here till then and also play well in the tournament as well.
To be able to finally, go overseas and show everyone Oceania has a team that can live up to the name, then yeah, that's good.
Anything is possible as long as we try.
We did lose today, but that doesn't mean we're not going to win tomorrow. It's anyone's game.
Anyone's game. That is indeed what the Australians are going to be looking towards here against the Lithuanian teams.
Yeah, unfortunately, the biggest thing I took away from that video was the plain water in the bathroom.
Yeah.
But hopefully they can move on to that, start using a bit more logical thinking, and then maybe take a couple wins.
I didn't even get down and drink that from the tap. That's
You gotta like
disgusting.
put it in your hands and cup it up or something.
Oh, wow. These guys are going to have to learn, that's for sure. Of course, now that we've heard from the teams, let's check out today's starting lineups. On the blue side, it is going to be Immunity. So the top laner is Swiper, the jungle Alicia, mid lane Heavens, Radier as the AD carry, and Rosie as the support.
And on the red side, of course, it's Gaming Gear EU with NBS in that top lane, Alunair in the jungle, Mazarin in mid, Deadly Brother on AD carry, and of course, Inspiro on support.
And the battle in the mid lane is our featured matchup. Team Immunity's Heavens versus Gaming Gear's Mazarin.
Yeah, coming into this tournament, Heavens was known for having ridiculously diverse champion pool. Yesterday he ran Syndra and then Swain before falling back to some more casual champions with like Caston and Ari. But his champion pool could really be a boon for these guys in trying to surprise what Mazarin has to bring at them, because Mazarin, he played a lot of Gragas yesterday. That was the thing he had the majority of his success on. And if you're a player like Heavens who knows so many champions, being able to go up against maybe a Gragas, you're going to have a counter planned.
And we should also probably talk about the AD carries, I guess. I mean, because Radier is definitely one of the big guys for Immunity. And also Deadly Brother had a pretty good game. He pulled out Quinn yesterday against Immunity.
Yeah, that was a really strange pick, but it worked in their overall AD split push strategy there for Deadly Brother. I feel like Radier should have the edge in this matchup because he has been one of the people who's been getting most of the kills for Team Immunity, and he's kind of known as his carry. In a couple of games they've lost, it's been because people have targeted him, recognized how strong he was, and just went right for him.
And what do we think of MBS? The fact that he pulled out Tryndamere yesterday, it worked very well. They had the split push going, and that's effectively where it was working for a while, and Immunity kind of pulled them back in, and then it was just too late. And once the Tryndamere is let loose on your towers, when he's that fed, he just wrecked them.
It was a learning experience, I feel like, for Immunity, because they talked about, even just in that previous feature, how they're used to just being able to, sit back and farm if we fall behind, and then go for them. And when they fell behind a little bit against Gaming Gear, they had a bit of a comeback, but they weren't able to take it over the top. Dealing with a split push like Tryndamere takes a lot of team coordination and very quick decision making, which they kind of messed up in a few instances in that game against Gaming Gear, but I think they'll be able to make the adjustments, like I said.
What do we take from yesterday's game? Because we weren't sure. I mean, obviously these guys knew before they played that they were going to be meeting each other in the semi-finals. How much of an impact would that have on the fact that they did take it fairly seriously. They wanted to play for the seedings. Obviously, it meant that I believe they got the side choice, which it looks like Gaming Gear have gone for the red team, of course. So what do we take from that? Do we think that it was a serious strat from both teams? Because I wasn't convinced by Immunity. I mean, obviously, we saw Swain in the mid lane coming out from Heavens. Wasn't successful.
So as far as Immunity, once they went 2-0, it did seem like they kind of sat back and said, okay, we're in. And I do wonder how much they took into that game against Gaming Gear, because by the time they played that game, both teams knew that they were going to play each other again. So that's kind of the reason I feel like Gaming Gear was more comfortable picking Quinn, because it was probably a strategy they'd kind of practiced before, but mainly I think it was to try to throw Team Immunity off their scent a little bit, and I think Immunity did the same thing, even if it seemed like they had more standard picks.
So picks and bans getting underway. Evelynn is the first ban. We have seen Aluna running that a couple of times already in the International Wildcard Tournament, and no surprise that it is being taken away. Alicia also taken away from Alicia.
You have to do it.
So, yeah.
He almost named himself after Elise, so you have to ban the champion entirely. I do feel like these are fairly standard bans for both of the teams. Yesterday, Gaming Gear banned TF and Shen, as well, I think, as Elise against Immunity, and it seemed like those were champions that Immunity didn't really have much interest in playing. They were very generic bans, and then with the TF ban again at Heavens, yes, you want to ban Twisted Fate for being a powerful champion, but if they're not really specifically seeming to ban that much from Team Immunity. The Gragas, of course, is the specific ban.
Very targeted. And what do you target else? Zac. That's going to be taken away. So that actually worked very well. So what will Swiper pick here? Will he go for the Thresh for Rosie, or will they be going for something different? Because Rosie's been known to play different champions as well.
Well, here's the interesting thing right now. Gaming Gear had choice of side, and they actually picked red side, so they're hoping for two things coming back after they pick this one for Immunity. we haven't necessarily seen the highest value coming out in first picks in this tournament, at least, since the 3.10 patch has kind of hit for international wildcard, unless it's been something like Zach has been seeming to get the most value, but that's banned away. So anything they take here leaves multiple options for gaming gear to try to swipe back at them. I'm really not sure what they're going to go for.
Well, it's Jarvan for Alicia. That's going to be jungle. Well, it could be jungle Jarvan. We're assuming it's jungle Jarvan. Going to be locked in there. Twitch is available, so it seems that instant lock in Twitch. And of course, Orianna has got through for Mazarin. He was banned out quite a lot throughout the
against Mazarin
yesterday in the round robin.
Yeah, Mazarin was getting Orianna bans against him, but his Gragas was so impressive, you can see he kind of switched up the ban order on him, and now he gets to pick Orianna. The thing I'm actually a little surprised is, when I think about this again, is Twitch had been a fairly strong priority picker ban away from Team Immunity because that Twitch Zyra lane was so strong for them. Considering the Jarvan, you know, is a first pick, but I feel like there's a lot of things you can pick aside from Jarvan to get that early pressure out of the jungle. Twitch would have been a good first pick, but it's an even better second pick for Gaming Gear because they have that strength now.
It seems that they are deciding which AD carry Radier will be playing. It seems Thresh is going to get locked in and just waiting to see what's going to go alongside it. Radier switching between Vayne and Ezreal, so wait to see which one he prefers.
And he had a very strong game on Ezreal yesterday against Gaming Gear before falling off late game because he ended up building about 200 armor to deal with the split push Tryndamere, but then he couldn't do the necessary damage in team fights, and that 200 armor didn't have any magic resist for the 16 kill Gragas that was coming at him. He picks Ezreal again because yes, he's had some good games on him before, and it's also a safer thing to play against Twitch than other than as opposed to Vayne.
Well, I believe that was one he got 5-0 in lane as well, so he got quite fed quite early on. We thought he could take on Tryndamere. Not quite able to though. Lee Sin though getting locked in, so Luna's switching over to Lee Sin, and Sona of course alongside Twitch.
I like the Lee Sin pick against Jarvan. I feel like that's the thing you pick against Jarvan in most situations if you don't want to let him take advantage of any early game things in the counter jungle or with early ganks. You can basically match exactly what Jarvan's doing if you're picking Lee Sin, and it becomes a very skill matchup based game for those guys.
We just went to see the final two picks. Kassadin was played by Heavens yesterday on an encounter against Twisted Fate. Not too sure how it would work against an Orianna. It's definitely going to be a lot harder for him to chase him down. Singed being selected at the moment. May well pull out in that top lane.
The Singed wouldn't be that bad an idea, but they're switching around on him there. He is fairly known. I mean, it's actually Immunity who played a lot of Tryndamere in the past, which is why the Tryndamere being so successful against him was a little bit of a surprise. Renekton is one of his played champions. He actually played it in both of Immunity's qualifier games back in Australia, so it's something that the team is comfortable with when things really matter, which of course is right now.
Oh, and there's Tryndamere. Will it get selected? Will it be NBS running Tryndamere again? It worked so well yesterday against Immunity.
It did, but picking it straight up against a Renekton, because yesterday he was up against Lysandra, I believe, and he was able to just kind of spin on top of him and go for it. You spin on top of Renekton, he'll stun you.
He'll spin back on you.
And he'll spin right back on you. It would be very tricky for him to execute in teamfights against the amount of crowd control. Just having one really tanky guy with an on-demand stun against any type of melee DPS makes it very difficult for that melee to have success in skirmishes and teamfights. So he was thinking about it, but he thought better, and it looks like he goes with Ken.
Switching across to Kennen. So Kennen in that top lane, that will be actually now that'll be a tough lane for Rosie. Not for Rosie, it's going to be the top lane.
Swiper. It switches it right around on him because Kennen is known as one of the hardest things to lane against in the game. Composition-wise, Gaming Gear does have a very strong team fight, but they're trying to kind of supplement it with the roaming ability of Lee Sin to kind of keep up with things. We look across the board at the Immunity, and they're just highly mobile through and through. Everyone on that team gets to fly around wherever they want and then take a lantern afterwards if they feel like it. So they're going to be trying to outmaneuver Gaming Gear's Kennen, Orianna, Sona kind of AoE combinations and just scatter around in teamfights so they can't get hit by multiple things at once.
Yeah, there is no wall that can stop that team. They can just
everything is going to be crazy for them. Hopefully, if you're an Immunity fan, they can force a lot of fights in the jungle because that's where they're going to have the most control and the most mobility.
Well, we'll see how it works out. If you have just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, it is standing room only here at Gamescom. This is the first day that we are open to the public, first of many days, of course. This is the semi-finals of the International Wildcard Tournament. This is for a place in the Season 3 World Championships. Of course, the semi-finalists will be up against either Pain Gaming or Dark Passage. They're going to be playing after this match. So there's another best of 3 to follow. This is a best of 3 if you've just joined us as well. So lots more League of Legends action today. And of course, tomorrow, the European playoffs will be kicking off. But we'll get to that later on, because this is all about the wildcard tournament. How do we see these teams measuring up as we're about to get into the game? The picks and bans are actually
They're very interesting.
close.
Yeah, both teams have picked kind of their specific strategy to go against each other. I don't necessarily think one team has picked a counter strategy to the other. Maybe a little bit because of how much mobility Immunity has. They have more outplay potential as far as what Gaming Gear is bringing to the table. But this is a game where we're really going to get to see the skill potential of Team Immunity.
So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. It is going to be Team Immunity as the blue team, the Australians, and Gaming Gear, the Lithuanians, representing obviously Oceania and the Commonwealth Independent States. Who will come out on top? Immunity were looking so good at the start of the day, and you heard them in the video talking about how they went 2-0 and then they just fell to the wayside. Well, Gaming Gear, they had a tough day of it. Of course, they had that restart against Dark Passage, but they came back. They managed to get another win there. They had a tough old struggle there at 1-1 at one point, managed to get back into 2-1, and then again against Immunity, managed to get that win. They ended up 3-1 as well. Of course, the only loss was to Pain Gaming. Both of these teams actually lost to Pain Gaming, so whoever gets there, if they come against Pain in the final, they can have a bit of a mental block.
It's going to be tough for both of these teams. I mean, that's the reason Pain is the #1 seed right now. Both these teams taking a few hits yesterday. I would say Gaming Gear overcame probably more adversity than any other team, just since they were the ones that had to have the remade pause game. And then they were also a team playing in our very last game of the day. They were here all day, regroup, recognize their successes yesterday, and then realize today is when it really matters. And they have to beat now Immunity essentially 2 more times to make it 3 out of 4 if they want to move on.
So Immunity not going to go for any sort of invades here, as I managed to hook myself. I'm not even sure how I was capable of doing that, but I did. All right. So I'm just hooking myself in cables, guys. Don't worry, it's all good. Rosie and Radier, are they going to go and try and push anything for this blue buff? Because if you remember yesterday, there was a lot of pressure on blue buffs, and it worked well for them. And it looks like they are going to try and do the same again. They want to get that ward up there. We can see that Gaming Gear, Luna, Inspiro, and Deadly Brother are all there, though. They're going to try and cause some harass. Radier pokes on range, and Deadly Brother actually taking a lot of hit point damage there. Quickly knocking him below half health. Even took a shot from the blue buff, and it is going to have to force the ward, the smite again from Luna.
And we've been seeing a lot of this so far in the International Wildcard Tournament, is the delayed invades by the blue side, AD carrying and support on the enemy blue, if teams are going for the 2v2 lanes straight up, because they have access to the blue invade. And this is actually, since Alicia still has smite, can just get this red buff from Alunair. Unless, of course he has to check. That's the smart thing to do.
Yeah, I was about to say, he didn't look like he was going to check, and immediately he does. This is a blue buff versus a blue buff, and Alunair fancies this one, and he's just like, nope, not having any of that. Just going to slide away, so Alunair will be able to take that one away for he's coming back around, he's going to try and smite it.
Yeah, but in order for Alicia to really contest this, he actually needs his lanes to be shoved up, but they are not, which means he's in danger of getting collapsed upon by Oriana.
You can see Mazarine's going to come around the side. Cassidy not really in a position. MBS is going to close in as well. Alicia's in all sorts of trouble. Has to flash away. Is it going to be enough? They're going to see Alicia flying there. It is going to be MBS that picks up first blood.
Going back for the second course was not a good idea there for Alicia, because he should have recognized there was no lane support that was possible for him. Alunair got the support from his lane. He was patient enough on Lee Sin, checked the brush, and then went in for the kill.
So excellent start for Gaming Gear. They will, of course, managed to beat out Immunity yesterday. Once it is Alunair, sure enough, he's going to get himself the red buff. He's going to back off, get himself a chunk of gold as well. With that assist, it is a very good start for the Lithuanians. So good.
I mean, even just Ken, you don't think having a blue buff would be too much of an impact in that top lane, since he's an energy-based champion, but it just means he can spam. Doesn't really have to worry about ever running low on energy for jumps away. He should be in pretty good control up top of Ken.
Oh, that's a couple of tower hits there actually on Rosie in that bottom lane. The fly on Deadly Brother seemed to be doing a lot of work, but I think he took a few too many tower hits than he was actually planning to. And actually, you know, the fact that Heavens is on Cassidy, that was the main reason he really couldn't help out, because Mazarine would just turn around and have him, because Cassidy is so weak early on.
Yeah, at least at this moment, Kassadin needs to wait until level 6 and then probably roam around. You can see already with the Doran shield start, that's not your let's go fight him Kassadin. That's the sit in the turret, eat as many auto attacks as possible while trying to keep your farm up. And as far as his goal going into this game for Heaven, since this was our featured matchup, he's doing all right against Mazarin right now, because Cassidy just has to survive the laning phase against Oriana.
Alainair is just absolutely taking everything right now. You can see he just forced Alicia away from the raids, goes in, takes all of the raids in fact, so he's completely clearing out the jungle of immunity. And that's going to cause problems. Alicia's going to try and have to leak something from the lane here, which actually going to slow down Evans. You can see he's just gone straight across, realized the wraiths are not there, and going back to base to get them standard boots.
This is a situation for Alicia where he kind of would hope this is an older patch, like a 3.8 patch, when everyone was just about mobbing a lane with 3 people and turret pushing, because at that point, he wouldn't be in this isolated scenario against Alainair's Lee Sin, where he's just getting bullied around after that failed invade. So I almost expect him to run into a lane and try to leech experience anyway, because that jungle's not safe for him.
We'll see how it works out. Of course, MBS in his top lane. He is winning out the farm against Swiper, kind of expected that one, 32-22, so it's time to build himself up a healthy lead, and of course, with that blue buff, with that kill, has gone back, got himself back on the door in his place. Swiper just simply can't trade with him anymore.
And that's just what Kennen is going to be able to do. Getting that early kill is so amazingly beneficial for him. He's also went with the split penetration runes on Kennen, which is what so many Kennens do, since he relies very heavily on his auto attacks in lane. And that's why he's went with the double Doran's Blade, because he's just augmenting his lane advantage to make it even greater, and just trying to keep Swiper's Renekton down.
Well, Radiant taking a lot of damage from Deadly Brother. They're using the Expunge, poking him down, but he's still keeping that CS advantage right now, Radiant. It's going to be the smite used by Alicia, so we'll keep our eye on. They're not really going to go for any objectives. We are at the 6-minute mark, so no blue buff's going to be spawning just yet. Just covering out that mid lane. Heaven's even out. There is no sign of Mazarin doesn't want to go aggressive. He's going to happily sit there and be very patient.
Lunar is a very strong counter jungler from the games that we've seen so far, and I'm expecting to see a lot more buff invades right around the 7-minute mark, because they know where Alicia came from, exactly when the buffs came down, and they're going to look to punish, specifically because Heavens is on Kassadin, doesn't really have any good items yet. He's not even at his catalyst, whereas Mazarin, Kennen, who's had an edge on Renekton, and Lee Sin, all 3 of those people would be the 3v3 that would fight against immunity if they were to invade the blue buff. And I'm expecting actually Alainair to be going back to base right now and hopefully making it to the blue buff if they've timed it right.
I'm not sure they will, because the P's already gone down from immunity. You see Alicia already heading back to that blue buff, so that's going to be given across to Heavens before he gets a chance to react. Heavens himself hasn't hit level 6 just yet, so won't have that Rift Walk level 6 for Mazarin, so he's got to be careful. Mazarin actually going wandering, going to ward out the raids down the bottom area. Now we see Heavens.
They're still going for it, though. I mean, MBS is ahead of the pack here, trying to harass him off, because it's a level 4 Jarvan. He has to run away. Force him to smite. That's worth it.
Force the smite. That means Heavens is not going to have that blue buff. That's a success right there. Heavens actually getting caught out, slowed down by that command attack from Mazarin in the distance. But as it stands, it's just a Luna. It's all a Luna at the moment. He is the one that's creating everything for Gaming Gear, and he's actually starting to dominate the jungle. Alicia's going to come around, but now you can see he's already taken the wraiths away.
And I got to give a little bit of credit to Kennen as well, but that was all based off of what Alainair has been able to do. It's an onslaught of early pressure right now from Gaming Gear. You can see every lane is just pushed up to the brim, but they can't stop it because Alicia can't make it to any lanes to game, thanks to what this harass is doing to him.
Cannot trade at all there with Alainair. Alainair just pouring the damage down on him, and that's actually forced Alicia back again. He hasn't hit level 6 yet. He's had to go back to base, and again, his wraiths have been taken. This is the 2nd time running Alainair's been taking those wraiths.
Yeah, this is becoming Lee Sin's jungle right now, and this is why I like that Lee Sin pick against what was the first pick Jarvan, because it's someone who can match his early fighting, which means whoever gets that early edge in the situation, which happened when Alicia overstayed on Alainair's red buff, and now he's just punishing him amazingly.
Well, it is going to be the blue buff for Mazarin, so he's going to have the advantage once again over Heavens. In terms of CS, you can see it's already starting to stack heavily in Mazarin's favor. He's got him 22 CS advantage over Heavens right now. He needed that blue buff, and of course he's going to get a bit of a power spike now. Well, I say that, he's not actually, because he's been so defensive, so passive, that he's not going to get that power spike for a long time.
No, it really doesn't seem like it. Heavens just went very defensive with his Kassadin build. And because of that, I mean, check out this red buff harassment that he's been able to put down onto Alicia. Still, Jarvan stuck at level 5. This is the dangerous invade right now for Alanair, and it's actually the one where if Immunity could turn it around to prevent this, they might start clawing their way back into the game. It's a little bit of a jungle breaking point as far as the Lee Sin versus Jarvan battle goes.
Well, down the bottom we see the crescendo. There's the box going down. Deadly Brother tries to turn around. Raydir, though, putting the damage on towards him, has run out of mana. Both of them actually out of mana. They just need to try and rely on basic attacks. Neither are close enough to get the end kill.
And there are so many little skirmishes going on right now, but because both skirmishes are fighting each other, they can't actually go and help each other, so it's a very isolated 2v2 here in the jungle, and it looks like Gaming Gear has a bit of an edge.
Yeah, there's a Rift Walk on towards Mazarine at the back. He's going to have the jungler help, though. There's going to be the shockwave. He's going to be enough to pull him back in there. The Force Pulse, they're effectively doing no damage. Luna manages to land the kick, comes sliding in, and now Alicia's in trouble. He gets slowed down. The dissonance in there. There's going to be the command attack again. Alicia gets caught. That's going to be the kick. It's a double kill for Aluna.
Aluna has just dominated this game so far by Immunity. We knew that was going to be a very crucial 2v2 fight in the red buff, and they 2-0'd them again. Every jungle evade has went Aluna's way, and you can see the impact that is having in this game as they're able to take this now 4-man dragon 10 minutes in.
Big advantage gain for Gaming Gear. That's going to stretch them to shy of 4,000 gold lead. And NBS, of course, continuing to dominate out that top lane. Just look at the lane CS. 62 to 94 in the top lane. Swiper is having a torrid time against NBS, all because of that blue buff at the start, and of course that first blood carrying that second Dawn's blade. He's just been under pressure the whole time. Nothing he can do about that, honestly. This has all been the pressure of Luna. It's working so well, and it's given Mazarine in that mid lane. He's built up a big advantage. He's just gone back. He's got himself a haunting guys already.
Hasn't even bought boots at this point because he knows he doesn't need to put his presence anywhere since Gaming Gear has such good control over all of the map right now. It's getting to be a breaking point for Immunity if they want to come back in this game, because you can have as much mobility as you want trying to avoid team fights, but if you just lose 1v1 to the AoE team, there's no coming back from that, and they're very close to that point.
Red buff being picked up by Luna. Swiper trying to go defensive, wants to get that Giant's belt out and trying to get as much Sunfire Cape maybe on there, but look at MBS, he's already got himself the Seeker's arm guards, the Sorcerer's boots. He's going to go aggressive and he's going to be able to chase down Swiper. He's not going to be able to escape him if he gets on him. Meanwhile, Aluna, look at him, he's deep, got that pink ward on towards the blue buff. He's coming back in towards the mid lane. Ordinarily, you can't catch a Kassadin, but it seems that these guys can.
They got a pretty good job of doing it. I mean, with the mobility that they pick up from Lee Sin, as well as the domination he's had on this game, he can at least catch Caster in a fight, because if Heavens wants to just run away, sure, he can run away, but as soon as Heavens wants to do anything aggressive, he's endangering his life against this. Thresh King!
They're diving in towards Inspirer, but immediately the crescendo returns. He may be able to flash away. No, he's going to get locked up here. Deadly Brother, though, he's took down Rosie, but he gets locked into Cataclysm, stealths himself up. Is it going to be enough to try and get away? He has managed to dodge him out there. They're trying to find him. Radiant now has it tracked down, tries to attack and shift, lands the shot, the Mystic shot at the end there.
Finally, a positive move right there for Immunity. They were going to lose the blue buff anyway if they try to contest it. They finally stopped playing into Gaming Gear's hands here by going for that Thresh gank in the bottom lane. That was really the only lane that Alanair hadn't put much attention into. So you can see getting the Thresh into the Flay just made it so Inspiro had no choice of running away in this fight. And then Deadly Brother stuck around, but it was a brilliantly timed Cataclysm there by Alicia, because that stealth would have gotten him away if he didn't get stuck in the Cataclysm for so long.
Yeah, just didn't quite have enough points in that stealth either, which is why it popped him out of it so soon. You're now seeing Swiper though, he's getting ganged up on here. 3 members of Gaming Gear coming in. The teleport coming out from Heavens. Is that going to be enough to stop them? Yes, it will be. Gaming Gear think twice on that one.
Scares him off. The lead, which was a little larger, now down to about 3,000. Seems like Immunity, they need to do what they do against a lot of the other Australian teams here and just say, all right guys, farm it out a little bit, wait for Gaming Gear to make a mistake. Because with the aggression that Aluna has been putting on in the jungle, it might happen at some point.
There could be a mistake. Trisha Ross comes across Deadly Brother in all sorts of troubles. Raydir should finish him off. No, the barrier. He does manage to get in there, and he finishes it off. It was worth the flash.
Very nice shot, and a surprising amount of aggression coming out from Raydir, because he's went for a very early tier. He's got a Sheen, a Doran's Blade, and a Longsword as far as kind of damaging items go, but being able to turn a kill like that shows a fair bit of supremacy in that lane, because that's not an aggressive Ezreal build. By all means, he should actually have to be sitting back and farming, which makes that kill all the more good.
Yeah, it's all impressive. Rosie simply just going in, throwing that ultimate down, getting the hooks. causing the damage. He threw the Ignite down as well just to do a good job. So blue buff given across towards Mazarine. Still no blue buff, of course, for Heavens because it was stolen away by Aluna once again. In terms of CS, you can't see a giant gulf starting to develop in the top lane and the mid lane.
It's just going to keep accumulating like this until Immunity can take some control back, because right now what's happened is we have 2 lanes for Immunity in the top and the mid there that are losing pretty badly. But at least the bottom lane with Raydir is coming back strong. This is actually fairly similar to the story that we saw between Immunity and Gaming Gear yesterday, where Raydir was the one with all the kills and the rest of the team just kind of had to be rescued.
I believe that's the 3rd or 4th time that Aluna's come around and taken those raids away. That is effectively his jungle now. He's managed to make it out, and that will be first tower of the game going down in that mid lane. Gaming Gear driving that advantage that they gained very early on, and ironically that advantage all came from Alicia's effective aggression. He went in there twice, tried to double dip on the red buff, and it just didn't work out for him. Deadly Brother down that bottom lane. He's gone for that build water cutlass. He needs to try and turn something around. It is the only lane they are losing there. Mazarine throwing that ball out, just keeping Heavens at bay. Shockwave is available. Everybody's ulti up. Nobody still. And coming up to the 16 minute mark has gone close to that dragon.
No.
Tell us about, of course, apart from the one they picked
well,
up.
it's apart from the 4-man dragon. It hasn't been a focus of the game, though. It's mainly been about the counter jungling. And to get back to that Alicia aggression point, he actually is known for pretty much always giving or getting first blood in all of his games on the Oceanic server, and he's just living up to his name in this one. They're hoping that that doesn't usually be the give up first blood. It's a very dangerous way to play, and we can see the repercussions of it here.
Well, Raydir, he is the shining light for Australia right now. He's trying to keep Immunity in this one, and honestly, he kind of was yesterday as well in this exact same matchup. He worked well in that lane. Raydir and Rosie seem to have a good partnership. They seem to pick up the aggression when they needed to. We did have Alicia sniffing around that bottom lane, but you can see now it is actually heavily warded, and Gaming Gear got a lot of wards around the jungle of Immunity.
Yeah, and at this point in the game, Gaming Gear is starting to take more reward for the lanes that they were winning at this point, because the constant harassment and out-CSing eventually just led to the turret, and since they've got 2 turrets down now, the gold lead, which had kind of been brought back by Immunity, is just gone again, and this means that they are substantially down in gold for the next potential Dragon contest.
Well, the top lane is still a 40 CS advantage for MBS. He's gone back and got himself a Zhonya's Hourglass, so now he is going to be a real problem for Swiper. Swiper who himself had to get that Negatron cloak to try and counter out the damage that he was expecting from MBS. MBS, I'm surprised he didn't just throw a shuriken in towards that push just to prevent him going back. 3 members of Immunity stacking down that bottom lane, but they're going to back off. They realized with that ward coverage, they saw Gaming Gear coming.
Yeah, so something that's interesting about this Kennen domination in the top lane is he has built very heavily for the lane with the double Dorans, and based on the mobility of Immunity, I actually wonder how effective he's going to be in team fights as they go towards Dragon. It looks like they're going to be able to take this one based on their enormous, overwhelming lead, but if Immunity's able to stall out, they would still have a chance based on their mobility to avoid all of Gaming Gear's AoE.
Looks like they are going to go move as one down towards this bottom lane. 4 members of Gaming Gear and Immunity. You guys can't fight this one instead. They are going to back off. It's Heavens is going to be the focus target instead. NBS is kind of like, am I needed for this one? Should I come? He's half caught between the two, but instead it's going to be a distance going out from Mazarine. Quickly pulls that defensive ball on Heavens, having to get away from that one quickly.
And Heavens has went for a fairly curious build. That's a dangerous push to recall it. See, the blue buff is gone. He can't even think about stopping that one, but he's went for an interesting build because he went Catalyst and Tier. So he's only got about 150 mana stacks on that tier right now, and it's going to be a really long time until he gets his power smite.
Oh, smite.
Clever smite there by Alicia, able to take the blue back a little bit for himself. That should help him in experience, at least catching up a bit with Eleanor.
Yeah, he had to get that one, of course. Didn't want to give it across. Mazarine was lingering there. He wanted to be given that one. Aluna had used that smite on the dragon earlier on, so it wasn't available for him to confirm that he gets the steal. Heavens, as you mentioned, gone back, got himself topped up with that hit points again, but every time he seems to return to lane, Mazarine just lands that command attack distance and just pops him down just like that.
Yeah, he's not even afraid of Heavens trading damage back because he could always just go shield himself with Orianna. Surprisingly though, considering all that, 123 farm per Cassian at this point in the game isn't disastrous.
Well, as it is down this bottom lane right here, he is 2-0-1, the one and only lane that is winning for Immunity right now. 165, 152 CS, he's gone for the Iceborne Gauntlets and the trying to build up that man immune as quick as possible. Well, of course, there is the Blade of the Rune King for Deadly Brother. Deadly Brother himself is simply waiting for that protection to come along. And it's not great the protection for him.
Yeah, and Rage went with that Ezreal build yesterday as well. He went for the very quick Iceborne Gauntlets. Then I thought it was because he was so far ahead and wanted to chase people down. But in this game, the team itself doesn't have that much damage, so I don't know if that added utility is actually helping them with too much right now. I'm surprised that Radier didn't go for a more damaging item like Bloodthirster, Last Whisper, any of those things before the Iceborne Gauntlets.
Well, Spectral Owl has been picked up by Swipe in the top lane to try and negate anything NBS can throw at him, but I'm not too sure how that's going to work out. NBS himself hasn't really been involved other than just continuing to farm in that top lane. 189 CS for both mid and the top lane right now. They have a big lead built up over Heavens and Swiper. Try and gain this one back. Now Luna, of course, it's always hard to count how far ahead a jungler is, but we know that Luna, the fact that he's got that 2-0-1, the fact that he has been dominating, taking away those wraiths in Immunity's jungle every single step. Finally, Immunity do get themselves the first tower of the game. It's the bottom one.
Yes.
This is going to unleash the team.
It's the bottom one that they were winning a little bit. Now they can kind of join together and use the power of Radier to maybe rescue some of the lanes that haven't been winning so much. And to get back to your point of the jungler seeing how far they're ahead, it's very difficult with a jungler specifically like Lee Sin because so much of his advantage is transferred to the rest of his teammates.
Well, this is the middle lane pressure, and there's going to be a Luna. He tries to aggress on, but look at that defensive ball just comes on. Nothing done to him. Oh, Alicia's going to go aggressive.
There's aggression.
Gets the Cataclysm on towards Mazarin. He just turns around, pulls the shockwave. True shot barrage from Radier. Radier comes in to save the day. Swiper picks up the kill, and now they're going to turn attention on towards Radier. MBS, he's caught out in Immunity's jungle. They have the track of it. Force Force comes out towards. They manage to get the shot on towards him. Radier should be able to finish this one off. He's going to have to arcane shift and flash to get in there. Gets the slow onto MBS. There's the kill. It's Radier that picks up another.
Well, there's those Iceborne Gauntlets coming in handy there as he got a couple slows after getting stunned from Kennen, and the absolute crazy, mad aggression from Alicia surprised Gaming Gear, because Gaming Gear was waiting for that fight to develop, thinking no way this team that's down 5,000 gold would basically like flash, flank, toss, all just to catch this silly old Orianna, but they did, and they get 2 kills for it.
Deadly Brother using out spray and pray to try and defend this turret. He will hold out, but Immunity was such a great turnaround for them. They needed that gold, they needed the kills, and again, just like yesterday, Radier, that shining light, shining array of hope for Immunity.
Yeah.
Didn't work out for them yesterday, of course. It was Gaming Gear that took victory in Immunity. Making sure they secure everything. This is going to be the rip-up for Radier. This is going to help out. He's the one man they need to keep fed. They need to start giving kills to Heavens as well, though. He needs to get involved. He didn't even get any. He got 1 assist out of all that.
That's not that helpful for Kassadin, unfortunately. And everyone on the team mainly has been going with fairly defensive builds, so absolutely Kassadin needs to be able to get a whole bunch more damage. He's trying to just keep up with farm right now, and he's got to be able to pick up some garbage kills. They need another surprise fight on Gaming Gear shortly.
Well, Mazarin went back, he got himself that Rabadon's death cap, so Shockwave will start to hurt. He is 50 CS behind Evans right now. 5 technically, and he's actually staying in that top lane, so he's going to try and clear out, try and farm out as much as possible. MBS has completely left the lane. As soon as he shows himself, he's going to go back and he's going to compete pushing on that top lane, but MBS quickly reacts and rushes back up towards the top.
Yeah, this is going to become a very interesting game. I think like Immunity has done some very good things to stay in this game, and I wonder how Gaming Gear is going to try to corral the mobility of Immunity as this game moves on.
Well, a flash having to come out from Heavens. He's trying to get away from this one. Will have Riftwalk back available if Aluna manages to land that kick. No, he has to back away. Meanwhile, this has actually created problems in the bottom lane. You can see that Radier and Rosie, they're putting pressure in this top lane. They're bottom lane, sorry. They're trying to push them towards the inner turret, but they've got to be careful they don't get collapsed upon.
So now it's kind of like an opposite of what we saw yesterday, where Immunity is the one split pushing and Gaming Gear are the ones trying to run and catch them all. That was a nice little fake out by Gaming Gear there, as they have the fear of the collapse on Raiders Ezreal, but they can just pick up Dragon along the way, which will extend their lead.
Yeah, there is the Dragon. That's the 3rd one of the game now for Gaming Gear. That's going to keep that gold flowing. It's 5,000 gold difference between these two teams. And Radier and Rosie do come up that middle lane, but look at this, Heavens, he's still trying to find opportunities. He needs to get some of that global gold to try and check down this turret. He may actually have time to do it before MBS gets here.
Yeah, it seems like for now, Immunity is just saying, Heavens, you're a split push Cassidon. Go cause some problems. The rest of us are going to be doing the team fight thing. And it's working out fairly well as they get the turret. Before that, they draw 2 people from Gaming Gear up and basically stall the game. Plus, there's full armor on NBS's build, so Heavens can actually fight it pretty well.
Yeah, Heavens put a lot of damage down on NBS. I think it caught him off guard. He was like, I am that fed. What are you doing? Why are you going aggressive? Why have I just lost half my hit points? What the hell is going on? Get the hell out of here with that lightning surge. Luna, he's going to be taking that red buff also in the mid lane. Immunity, they are putting pressure on this middle turret. This could be their 3rd turret of the game. This would actually put them ahead in objectives over Gaming Gear.
This is a very impressive split push tactic right now by Immunity, because even Cassidon is continuing his push up on the top lane. Immunity is bluffing right now. They're playing like they're ahead, and Gaming Gear is giving them ground.
Well, it's going to be Luna and Deadly Brother collapsing on towards him in that top lane. We are going to see him getting on towards him. They does just get away from that cast, but you see spray and play working on Heavens. Heavens is going to go down here. That will be a kill. It Deadly Brother is given to.
So we got a little bit overzealous there, and he got called on his bluff essentially because there was no one from you to go in, but they get a death sentence!
The hook on Mazarine, crescendo on left, Shockwave came out as well. Mazarine taken very low, Swiper gets him down, slices and dices away, but he gets caught out by Deadly Brother. Alicia now trying to get away from this one. Zonya's Hourglass from NBS was used up. Alicia will get away from this one. No, he won't. Aluna throws out the kick, manages to land it, and it's Radier that's kiting away.
And it turns into an extended 3-for-1 because I have to say Immunity baited themselves in a little bit by landing that death sentence, because the last thing Immunity wants to do is group up for Gaming Gear's AoE. And Kennen got off a brilliant ult because everyone dove in. Check this out. He goes in with Renekton and Jarvan, and that just lines everyone up for Shockwave, Crescendo, Kennen. They lose so much health at the very start of that fight that after they pick up the 1 kill, they basically just have to run away.
A combo, there's the Dark Passage as well, Radier managing to escape, but nevertheless, Radier and Rosie had pushed such a big wave in that bottom lane, they couldn't push out from that one. No objectives were gained by Gaming Gear, and Immunity actually do have the lead in turrets, and that gold lead, it is starting to shrink ever so slowly.
Yeah, if it's not shrinking in absolute gold, it's shrinking in percentage of gold, because I can imagine, thinking about 10 to 15 minutes ago, there was around a 5,000 gold lead then as well. And Immunity's weathered that storm, meaning relative to what Gaming Gear has right now, Immunity is stronger than they were a few minutes ago, more likely to be able to force some decent fights.
It's nice to see Gaming Gear with wards on every single member of the team right now. So they realize they have to get some coverage. They have to try and track down Heavens back in that top wave again. Just quite happily working him down. That's actually giving him farm. It's not gaining farm on Mazarine though. Immunity are thinking of collapsing in towards the top instead. He is going to back away, and MBS will clear that one out. Deadly Brother continuing his defense in this mid lane, and it seems that the middle inner turret is what Immunity want to go for, and it's interesting that Immunity are the ones attacking.
Yeah, the turret push has done them well, so I think they're going to keep hitting this one until Gaming Gear gets a resounding victory from it. As long as they keep Cassidon scattered up top, Gaming Gear doesn't have they don't feel like they have a safe way of getting the initiation just based off the overall mobility of Immunity. Even if Sona Inspiro gets a flash crescendo, he has to hit it on multiple people, including Thresh. Otherwise, the Lantern's just going to save someone, or everyone else is just going to jump out. It's a very interesting strategy that Immunity is pulling off here.
This is a good combo on MBS here. He's going to try and force him to use that Zonya's Hourglass. Inspiro instead comes up. That True Shot Barrage came across from Radier. Radier actually getting caught by the kick of Aluna. And he is going to be Heavens back in that top lane again. They have to deal with him. He's going to keep putting damage down on that turret.
And they've proven that they actually have to send 2 people in the past. Now they're only sending Deadly Brother's Twitch, and he comes out there without stealth. So he's actually saying right now, oh no, he actually gets Play to the Ruined King. He's saying that he's just there to defend the turret, but this diminishes the teamfight potential of Gaming Gear greatly at this turret.
And he's buying time for Radier to get some hits on that tower. If only he actually hits it. Instead, he backs away, and wisely, they back off. That's because Heavens realized he can't keep the pressure up in the split push. He's sticking around still, though. Deadly Brother's like, for God's sake, he's back again.
Gaming Gear needs to find a way to stop this from happening. And I don't think they quite figured it out yet. They need to get this kill somehow. Riftwalk's down, he's trying to close his distance.
He does manage to get the slow. Oh, it's a fail. Flash actually get caught down towards the wreckage of the tower and instead has to Riftwalk away once again. Aluna's going to still collapse on towards him. He may be able to get close enough to get that kick. He's going to have to use some funky mechanics here. Has got a ward. He does try and use it. Safeguards onto it. Doesn't use the kick. The Riftwalk was back available for Heavens.
So another good escape there by Heavens and more attention burned. The reason Gaming Gear needs to find a way to get out of this stall tactic by IM is the longer they stall, the closer the game becomes. Gaming Gear's not gaining any ground if they're pushed to their turrets. They're trying to make their move out now, knowing that Immunity has recalled, and they're trying to take some ground back.
Yeah, Heavens is not there to get this blue buff back, and instead they're going to go aggressive on towards MBS. We see Swiper coming around. Alicia's got to be careful. He's in a 4v2 situation. The rest of his team were backing up, but Gaming Gear actually back away from this one. Teleport comes out from Heavens. He gets MBS. Cataclysm comes in there. They may have enough to take him down. Uses his ultimate. Pops out that Zonya's Inspiro. Meanwhile, at the side there, it is going to be MBS going down. Heavens picks up that kill. Now they're getting on towards Deadly Brother. He just gets popped where he stands. Swiper gets on towards him. Heavens Riftwalks across. Crescendo was used as well for the kick, but it's a double kill for Swiper. Now they're on towards the Luna. He's going to go down. That's going to be Radier with a kill. Mazarine, the only man standing, has to back away. It's a 4-for-1.
Immunity absolutely wrecked them there, and they got to fight in the jungle where they could scatter around the walls and no one on Gaming Gear could group. They couldn't get over the walls the same way. Look at this. It seemed like Alicia was in a dumb place. It was 4v2, but because NBS took a route away from the rest of his team, everyone piled on Kennen. Then as Gaming Gear tried to come up, again, Inspiro gets cut off up on the top. Never could Gaming Gear group up to get the AoE, and they were running from a team that had too much chase potential. Great fight for Immunity.
Great mobility, and it is going to be the Baron being picked up by Immunity. What a turnaround there. You see right here, he's going to get himself the red buff as well. But be careful to stick around too long. There's not going to be anyone close by. Mazarine not going to get caught by that true shot barrage. Just like that. The gold advantage is down to just shy of 2,000 gold. But more importantly, the Baron is on Immunity. The Australians back in the driving seat.
It's been quite an impressive comeback, D-Man, because it seemed like they were completely out of choices. They were a team that couldn't win any 1v1s. They lost both of their solo lanes. They lost control of all the dragons. And you're thinking, how are they possibly going to come back in this game? Then they came up with a split push Kassadin here, which turned out the Gaming Gear didn't have any answer for. NBS built fairly heavily at the start against Renekton, and the Kennen was a good pick in the lane, but not necessarily for the team fight phase. And now that Immunity's managed to make it to somewhat of the late game, NBS is a little bit lost in the ways that he can actually get involved on Kennen.
Well, right now, Immunity, they have gone back, they're coming stacking right up that mid lane, and of course, now that Maramana has been completed, the QSS as well, Radier feeling very comfortable. Probably see a Guardian Angels maybe stack out after that, who knows. Swiper was also very aggressive, but remember how much Swiper was dominated in the lane by MBS. It's still such a great comeback for him. He's even gained ground on the CS despite the fact he's been that mid laner with the rest of the team while Heavens has been off split pushing.
He's actually up about 100 gold right now on MBS, just because he's picked up so many kills in team fights. Having a tanky Renekton like that is a huge benefit when dealing with all of the AoE of Gaming Gear, because if he just runs a Deadly Brother, he's enough of a distraction for the rest of the team that no one else can group up around him.
And they catch on towards MBS, he has to just keep shy off the side. It really isn't the same as his Trendemir right now, MBS.
And that last combo on Sona is something that I've been waiting for people to do for a while here. It's the Kassadin Thresh combination for harass, because normally it's very dangerous for Kassadin to Riftwalk in to harass someone, but if you throw the Lantern out, it's no longer dangerous, and it means Kassadin becomes a giant turret threat. Goes in, harasses, Lanterns out, and now they have to start backing away from the turret.
And that's actually Inspiro and Aluna that are both taking low. Again, the Q comes out, Radier landing those shots, slowing them down, and that turret in the mid lane, down to half hit points. Of course, this is a bound up Immunity, and look at that, Heavens is ready to go again. He's like, Lantern's available, guys, let's
Round
try
three.
another, but it doesn't matter, they're hacked to back away from this one. Alicia comes in, he tanks up the damage, Swiper's going to take the second tanking hit, and that will be the turret of the inner mid lane down, and so now the pressure on towards the inhibitor turret, and why not? They can just keep pushing.
Yeah, and as long as they have that combination down, they're making Gaming Gear fearful. Again and again, they're going to keep pulling off this cast and thresh combo. It's going to basically force Gaming Gear to hard engage after they do the next one. Otherwise, they're going to slowly lose this while there's still a minute left on the Baron buff for immunity.
Death sentence just whisping past Inspiro there. That would have been almost certainly go time for them. Radier continues to throw out those shots, trying to land on something, not really finding his target. Look at how Mazarin, how much damage he does.
On the flip side, it is very dangerous for immunity to actually dive here because it would be enclosed space where Gaming Gear can actually get out all of their team fight potential.
Evans does, true shot barrage, catching about 4 members of Gaming Gear. That may buy them time on towards his turret. That's going to be another turret down for immunity. And well, they are 5-2 up in turrets. Can you believe this? From a 2-0 turret deficit, they were 5k behind. They are really driving it home here. And now Gaming Gear, they're going to have to land that perfect combo.
Yeah, and there's the last few seconds on immunity's Baron buff, so they're trying to get as much ground as possible. Still cautiously going in and actually hoping Gaming Gear uses their initiations before immunity commits so that they have the ability to disengage.
And Spyro's gone back. There's no crescendo available. Immunity may follow up on this one, but instead he's going to rush back to the lane.
Ooh, the Baron is gone from immunity. I don't know if they're going to be strong enough to go in here. This has now become a dangerous situation for them to be in.
Both teams are going to have to risk it. The question is, who wants it more? Immunity have proven that they can fight very well. Luna tries to land in there. He's almost certainly being the go man. He wants to go towards Radiator. He wants to kick Radiator towards the rest of his team. He wants them to try and blow out some of those flashes. Gaming Gear going to try and chase down immunity here. They're just quite happily backing away. And look at this, guerrilla tactics for immunity. They're ready to pounce across the wall.
Just poking through the wall with the Ezreal. He's ran low on mana though with Radiator. This could be a juke initiate. All that mobility just toying with the walls.
Evans again, force pulse, comes across, Whiff walks in there, takes that dark passage back across, and Alicia's like, guys, I wasn't expecting you to go back. I thought it was go time.
Yeah, we thought everyone was going in because a bunch of people just jumped over the wall and I'm getting all excited here. Definitely would have scared me if I was Gaming Gear as well. She's like, oh crap, they're coming in to fight us. Never mind. Surprisingly, none of them burned any cooldown, so they didn't expect the initiate as their team.
So, everybody backs off, everybody buys. Let's take check, let's take stock of items. We do see another BF sword coming out from Radiator, so not going defensive, instead wants to get more damage out there. I'm gonna look across who else has just picked up some big items.
Yeah, there was a Zonya's Hourglass that Heavens just completed because he was sitting on his secrets for so long, plus the Home Guard boots if he wanted to teleport in, making him an exceptionally stronger caster. And also the Randwinds got completed for Swiper, which means in team fights, he's going to run at and through Twitch. And the interesting thing about Twitch is he can't actually shoot past Renekton without getting the Randwinds effect from auto attacks on him, because Spray and Pray has to go through him, so Twitch will automatically avoid his attacks, which is why Randwinds is so good for tanks against Twitch.
So blue buff is going to get picked by Mazarin, and actually, I think Heavens is going to get himself the blue buff for the first time in a long time. He's actually managed to get that blue buff, which is going to cause his split pushing back along that top. You can see the timers, Dragon up in 24 seconds, Baron, more importantly, up in 45 seconds. You see the true shot barrage being used on the bottom lane. That's keeping that wave pushing, so that's going to push itself there, while the rest of immunity continue this split push, top and middle.
And there's a good chance that this upcoming Baron could be the undoing of Gaming Gear. We saw what happened the last time they tried running around their jungle, and since they're now pushed back into their base, the jungle between Baron and their base is the deadliest place for them to go, but it's the place they have to go if they want to avoid giving up another Baron.
Middle lane is going to all happen. You can see the teleport's going to come in here. MBS though, he manages to get a good slicing measure off the whole team. Great crescendo from Heavens. There's the shockwave. He pulls them back in, and his raid here though doing work at the back with the rest of his team are melting. It is a great engage from Gaming Gear. This is what they needed in open territory.
And they got it before the Baron was up. Now they have the opportunity to try to make a play themselves. That was perfect timing. Really caught Heavens while he wasn't ready. Perfect initiation, managed to focus down their Renekton before there was damage coming back at him, and this now becomes a difficult defend for immunity.
Radiator though at full hit points, and he's already used that true shot barrage, but it is going to be up quite soon. We saw it go across and do the damage. The bait is there, and Deadly Brother is going to be the stealth magnet. He's going to get on towards the jungler Alicia. Radiator though, he gets caught out, has to flash away. Deadly Brother follows through. Is he going to have enough there? He uses the barrier, and he should be able to get away from this one. Look at that, he's got the kiting potential, does manage to land the cask, slows him down. Deadly Brother has to back off from that fight.
That was a nice try from a bait for Gaming Gear. They recognized they were probably a little bit too low to go Baron against a full health Ezreal, but now they still have their damage sources up. It doesn't matter if they use some of their skills to engage here, and they're going to try to rush down this Baron.
Well, that two-shot barrage just come across. You can see MBS, he's backing it up. He's got tanky enough, got enough hit points as well. The fact that defensive ball from Mazarine. And more importantly, Aluna's there. That's all 5 members of Gaming Gear now with Baron.
That was a very impressive set of events for Gaming Gear because they had lost so much mid-game, and it seemed very hopeless. There was one play they could make. Oh, look out, Mazarine.
They've gone towards Mazarine. Heaven's in there. That's going to be sliding in towards Cataclysm on him, but this is not the fight they want because Gaming Gear are ready for this. They're going to turn it around. Heavens has to use that Sonya Zargas, so it's going to get sliding in, but he is going to get taken down. That was not the engage they wanted.
No, they were once again trying to catch Gaming Gear unawares, but Gaming Gear actually stuck around because they were somewhat expecting that. All 5 members of them were sticking together, which is what they need to do more of to try and come back in this game, which they, after having control of the full game, losing it, looks like they have some of it back again.
It's all about that open engagement, and it actually all started with MBS. He got in there, got a slice in Maelstrom, and they're going, go time, guys. We caught 4 of them out of it. Heavens was off at the top, and they have managed to get control. They're going to go rush down, they're going to get that dragon, and again, gold lead, all pushing back to Gaming Gear. They had a 5k lead at one point, that shrunk back, and Immunity actually dragged it back in. But Gaming Gear, once again, are in the lead.
And to get back to why that was such an amazing set of events for Gaming Gear is because that fight in the mid lane was the only fight they could take. That was their last opportunity before they'd end up losing the game. Because as soon as Immunity started pressuring around the Baron buff, it was either lose a team fight in the jungle to Immunity or give them Baron. And if they give them Baron, we know how the Cassidon Thresh combination was sieging them down to turrets. They were out of options. That was their last-ditch effort, and they made it work, snowballed that into getting the Baron, and now they're strong enough to hold Immunity off.
So just like last night, or yesterday evening, Immunity are up against it, against Gaming Gear here. Split push not working out for them. Gaming Gear did take victory yesterday in the round. But Immunity, meanwhile, thanks, Jack. Immunity, meanwhile, are actually still in control. They need to get one of those jungle skirmishes. That's why you can see them. They're in the jungle right now. They're clearing out the wards. They're trying to force something, despite the fact that, of course, Gaming Gear pushing in. Immunity may actually catch on towards it. I thought Alicia may go for it there on turret.
Thing is, all these fights are in the open, so Immunity has to get an incredibly clean initiation at this point, unless they can start splitting them up.
Absolutely, and of course, don't forget, this is a best of 3. This is going to be a long game. This is 41 minutes gone. We had about a 50-minute game yesterday as well. So expect this one to keep on rolling. There is another best of 3 after this one as well. Don't forget Pain Gaming. They're going to be up against Dark Passage. That will be their best of 3 semi-finals. The semi-final for the International Wildcard Tournament. This is a place in the World Finals these guys want. There is already one team in there. It is Mineski. They are from the Philippines. They were the first team to qualify. This will be the second team. We'll see and find out tomorrow morning.
There's only about a minute left on this Baron for Gaming Gear as well. And they haven't done too much with it, aside from repel the push that Immunity was putting on them. They're just trying to farm up a little bit more. And if they can, they need to find an answer for Cassidon. It's pretty much Deadly Brother at this point in trying to stop the split push. He needs to get enough damage that he can basically burst Heavens down in between like one Rift Walk cooldown, so he can Rift Walk away once and then he can spike him down. Other than that, I feel like after this Baron is off, Immunity's just going to go right back to what they were doing. It's all about Gaming Gear trying to make something happen with the last little bits of this Baron and getting some type of team fight in a place without walls.
But while Heavens can also burst them down, Mazarine's Shockwave is going to hurt now. It's going to do a heck of a lot of damage. You can see Gaming Gear trying to use his Baron, trying to push on towards the bottom turret, but Immunity are doing a good defensive job considering they're 4 members. The spot. Shockwave comes out, Radiant gets caught, there's going to be Crescendo, cleanses out of it quickly. You can see MBS diving in there, but they're taking a lot of tower damage. Rosie's taking low. They are going to have a teleport coming in there. It's going to be Heavens. He goes aggressive, uses that Zhonya's. He may be in trouble, tries to flash away from it. Not going to happen. MBS catches that out. That's that's going to be the turret on the bottom lane. It's a 2 for 0.
And that's exactly the spot, once again, where Gaming Gear could have it. They're taking advantage of these incredibly thin windows to get an advantage. Immunity should not have tried to defend that turret. It was far too dangerous, and you saw why. Great shockwave by Mazarin.
Radier comes in, he's trying to get on towards Aluna, but Aluna's got other ideas. That's going to be the inhibitor turret down. Aluna does get hooked on, and a lot of damage coming towards him, but you can see the inhibitor being taken down. Then he turns his attention towards it. That's the first inhibitor of the game, and it is Gaming Gear that takes it.
Such an amazing set of events for them now, and it seems like Immunity might be trapped in their base now since their inhibitor is down, and it's one of the worst inhibitors to have down since most of Immunity's pressure wants to be up towards the Baron area. Essentially, Immunity is contained for a little while now. They have about 30 seconds until the inhibitor respawns. Let's take a look at that fight. Even though Shockwave only hit one, that's all that mattered because Cassidy wasn't even there. And there's only two main threats on Immunity right now, Ezreal and Cassidy. Cassidy comes in late, but it just wasn't enough.
And Aluna was within millimeters of landing that Q on towards Radier. That would have taken Radier out. That could have possibly won the game.
I think the game would have been over.
Yeah, Gaming Gear in full control though. The Lithuanian teams that qualified through the Commonwealth Independent States qualify in Moscow during week 2 of the LCS. We were there live to see them taking down Instruments of Surrender in that finals. And Gaming Gear, they come into this, there wasn't a lot of hype behind them, but they seem to be doing a fantastic job against the Australians.
This has been such a good game, D-Man, because we've seen multiple swings already back and forth, and I'm still not sure if Gaming Gear has enough strength to finish this one out because they can very clearly win team fights, and they've been able to find a couple of them, but you can only find so many small windows to take advantage of these teams, and I wonder if they can keep doing it. They're going to try again here at Baron.
Oh, they're using that Dragon stance. They do manage to get vision of Gaming Gear. They backed away from that one. Look at this though. There's no teleport available for Heavens, and he's split pushing bottom.
And there's only 30 seconds up until the Baron comes, so this is an incredibly tense situation for Immunity. Heavens is trying to push up the bottom lane because there's super minions there, and if there's an extended siege at the Baron area, they don't want those super minions to knock down their Nexus turrets, but they're still going to try to split push and make something happen. This is a very dangerous ploy by Immunity.
Heavens looking at coming around the backside of Deadly Brother. He's really going to be the focus target, see if he can get on, take down that Twitch before the spray and pray is fully used, but now he actually has support. They're going to be using that guerrilla tactic again, throwing out the lantern, force pulsing in, trying to poke them down. Also don't forget the poke from Radier off the side here, but instead, they're not going to be able to get it. Rosie takes down the ward with the Oracle.
Gaming Gear doesn't have to rush anything here. There are super minions pushing the bottom lane for them, and they know that if Immunity comes straight at them and fights them, they will win. So they just need to wait for Immunity to go clear off the super minions or back off, and now they're making their move for Baron.
Baron is up a hell of a lot of water from Gaming Gear, and I think Immunity realize they can't do a thing about it. They're going to have to give this one up. They're going to have to defend out. There's an inhibitor turret. True shot rush coming across. Not even close though. Gaming Gear with a Baron.
They definitely have a big edge now. Obviously, the gold lead has kind of been telling us some lies this game because there was a 4,000 to 5,000 gold lead for Gaming Gear when Immunity made their comeback, and then it seemed like Immunity had it, but Gaming Gear came away. Since there's inhibitors down, and since Immunity is now stuck in their base, if Gaming Gear gets a good initiation somewhere, there's nowhere to flank around. You can't out-mobility a team when you're cornered in your base. This could be the time for Gaming Gear to go and make something big happen.
It's going to be the inhibitor turret. It's taken low, it's taken down. Gaming Gear had no problem on that. Immunity had no chance of defending it. We see Rosie trying to get in, keep them back, but we don't see any reason why they should back away from this one. They have the turret down and free roam to get in there. They have the team that effectively that works best in the open ground, and Gaming Gear are just going to keep driving on through.
And what they want to do now is wait until there's a member defending for Immunity in the bottom lane and then push into the inhibitor. Once again, there's actually no rush for them right now. 47 minutes in, they do not need to hurry things.
So they are going to keep on poking on towards Swiper, keeping him low. MBS is just biding his time to get in. He wants to start off that slicing marathon. He's been the catalyst, effectively, that starts out the fights the last few times, and Gaming Gear are ready and waiting to go. Aluna, of course, he's looking to try and land. He wants to get on towards Radier. Radier's been the focus last few times. There's going to be a true shot blast. There's the Cataclysm on towards Deadly Brother. They've got a good engage here, but the force ball's not really landed. Straight away, the slicing marathon comes out. Leash is in all sorts of trouble, but he goes down. Evans tries to pop his shield. He's just off the side. Comes in, gets a really good force ball, but shockwave. It gets on his hourglass. Simmons can try and turn this one around. He's flashed away. He could come back in. Swiper gets a great slice of it. Gets a slice of dice. He gets in. Guess what? Swiper can't finish off, but Radier's coming in the back. He cleans up. Can he get another one? He's going to have his arcade shift back in there. No, he didn't land the Q. It was a 4 for 2 to actually Gaming Gear, but they're running away from Radier.
It's because their base is getting slaughtered by minions right now. As good of a fight as that was for Immunity, the base is just going down to minions, but the inhibitor respawns as well as Radier is kiting back.
Radier doing a great job of kiting MBS there, but unfortunately for him, he doesn't have any mana left, so he's down to basic attacks, and you can see it's down to the Nexus turrets. They are getting forced upon. He's going to have to do a hell of a lot of work to defend this one from the 3 members of Gaming Gear to come in and try and finish from Swamp. They're going to get the second Nexus turret of the game. The Nexus is exposed. Radier is doing all he can, but it's going to be Gaming Gear that take the victory in Game 1 of the International Wildcard semi-finals.
And did they ever have to earn that one, D-Man? You can tell they felt like they were in control for a while. Then they lost control. But once again, these in-game adjustments for Gaming Gear seem to be something they made all of yesterday. They're very good at team fighting, and they find crafty ways of going in and ending the game. That was as close as it could be for them.
Yeah, it swung back and forward. You think back to it, they had a 5,000 gold advantage, and then it went horribly wrong for them. They suddenly got caught out. Guerrilla tactics working out for Immunity, and then Immunity went very aggressive. And you've got to wonder whether it was the aggression that Immunity used against them that was countered, because just think right at the start when Alicia went in, he got greedy, tried to steal away that red buff. That set them back right from the beginning.
Yeah, and it seems like Alicia plays one way, and it's just go in all the time, any small opportunity you see, because he saw a small opportunity to start, it cost him. But that same thing is what got him back in the game. His mid-lane catch on Jarvan when he was going for Orion in the mid lane that got them that first swinging team fight was one of the big things that brought them back into this game. So I don't think he should change anything about the way he plays. Immunity just needs to kind of regroup from that one because they were real close to winning.
So, of course, if you have just joined us, Game 1 of Immunity versus Gaming Gear has just happened. Gaming Gear coming out victorious after around about 53 minutes. So, definitely took a long time, this one.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be any shorter in the next few games.
Probably not. These guys seem very evenly matched, as we saw yesterday and again in this game.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic performance. So, I believe we're going to be sending it over to Joe and Jason shortly because they're going to break down the big plays that Gaming Gear's managed to take victory.
Thanks a lot, Demon. I'm joined here by Jason. And what a fantastic game, back and forth action the entire time there, right up until that very end. Even that last team fight wasn't clear cut with them being solo. I had visions of a Kassadin pentakill or something ridiculous coming in from that one as he starts chasing them down. But let's start right at the very beginning here. And I have to really give Alanir credit there for the pressure that he put down with that Lee Sin early on.
And the funny thing was, it wasn't really him that caused it in the beginning. It was actually Jarvan overextending just a little bit too far, and he went towards the red. He wanted to take that red buff. Like, he was committing there. Since the bottom lane of Immunity harassed so much of blue buff, they forced a smite out of him, but then Jarvan comes in, tries to take red, doesn't get the first time. He backs out to Baron, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna try one more time. Ends up going in, ends up dying in the end, giving blue buff over to Kennen, and from that, Alanir's like, all right, I got this. I got control of the game, and he constantly harassed wherever Jarvan went. Constantly harassed the red buff. You saw like I think it was like a 2-minute skirmish go on towards that first red or the second red that came up, and in the end, they were able to really shut him down. But one thing I love that he did to get back in the game was that gank bottom, that Thresh Lantern pulling Jarvan in, and that thing was, it was one of those moments where most teams, this is like make or break time. Like, you're either going to crumble or you're going to get out of this somehow. And that showed to us all right now that Immunity is a really strong team, able to turn that around with that great gank coming out of them.
Well, talk to us a little bit about the whole mid-gamer in there, because we did see Immunity have waves of strength there, and it almost looked like they were coming back. They stayed behind in terms of gold pretty much the entire time from that one. But they did start to pull it back, and we're looking really, really good.
Yeah, there's this one fight that I actually want to talk about in particular over toward was in the mid-game, and it was all due to the vision that Immunity had. And with that vision, they decided to finally commit to a big fight, and they end up coming out ahead in that, and then they pretty much try to take that victory and bring it into another one.
Well, let's take a look then at that fight then in the mid lane from earlier on in that matchup.
Yeah, so we're about 21 minutes, 15 seconds in, and I want to point out, right now Sona and Twitch, they are spotted by ward. There's a pink ward they're currently standing on, and because of that, the rest of Immunity is like, all right, well, I favor this moment. I think we can go in for the win here. So let's start the replay up and show you what happens as Alicia, he ends up just diving straight into the backline, and with that flash coming out of Mazarine, he ends up getting stuck in his Cataclysm, ends up getting picked off. The rest of Immunity was just waiting by the sidelines, and they knew we could get at least one kill before the rest of Gaming Gear show up, and they do end up getting that. And one thing that was really curious to me is that MBS, he has his ultimate available, but he doesn't decide to use it. He might have been able to survive, but in the end from that, which is Immunity just noticing that Gaming Gear was out of position, completely took advantage of the situation, picked up 2 great kills that they really needed at that time, and it really kind of made Gaming Gear take a step back, like, we need to calm down. We're ahead, but if we keep letting these fights go, if we keep losing the kill here or there, they can bring it back on us.
Yeah, and then again it took that switch. We saw the Baron being picked up after a great win in a team fight in the middle. And Jack said that perfectly. The timing to win a fight there in that mid lane was absolutely perfect for them. It allowed them to swing straight around to Baron. I think that's the straw that broke the camel's back right at the end. I mean, that was just one step too much.
Yeah, and there was one more fight, actually. It was the Baron that Immunity ended up taking. That was, again, due to vision. I mean, because they saw where Mazarine was over on towards the bottom side of the map, they were able to commit to another fight.
So let's have a look at that one then here, and run you through that second replay that we've got from that awesome last game.
Yeah, and as you can see, so actually this is the beginning of the replay. So it's right now, look where Mazarine is, on the bottom side of the map. He's currently spotted. He doesn't have a teleport, and the rest of Immunity realized, we can win this fight. We want to take advantage of this. Heavens actually was just top lane. He got pushed out by NBS and Alanir, so he decides to back out, and he's like, guys, we have really aggressive wards. We could probably go for this fight. So as we started up here, you're going to see him get that back. He's going to have the teleport in, which NBS completely gets caught from, and they start to turn this fight around. And Mazarine, unfortunately, he's just going to get there a little bit too late. And here comes a teleport. And as you can see on the right side of your screen, you do see him just go straight in for NBS. And the funny thing is, even though they were able to engage on him, look how little he gets off the damage that MBS has. With that Zoner's Hourglass, with the Haunted Guys, when they pick up that kill, and then they continue. See, Mazarine is finally starting to come into the fight, and he hasn't really done anything just yet. He's still trying to make his way up towards this top lane as Heavens goes for a very aggressive rip off over that wall to open up the kill, but with that death, they get 4 kills, they get a Baron off of it. And that just pretty much completely got him right back into the game, all due to vision, and that's really how important wards are. And to me, how good Immunity is to recognize the situation they're in and be like, we can take this fight, we can win it, and let's go.
And the funny thing is, you've just shown you 2 replays where Immunity pretty much won out. However, they went on to lose that game, which just shows you how closely matched these 2 teams are right now. And a real testament, I think, to the skill level that we've got here in the International Wildcard Tournament. For Game 2, obviously, it's a best of 3, so it's not over just yet for Immunity. Do you think we need to see any changes? A Lee Sin ban, maybe?
I think that one actually might be necessary. I mean, Gaming Gear, I didn't really talk about them too much throughout the game, but they did a fantastic job. Like, their whole combo with the Orianna ended up working out really well when you pair that in with the Crescendo. They had a really tough time making it work early on, but honestly, if you can pull it into the team fights later on in the game, then it doesn't really matter how bad you do in the beginning. And I was a little bit worried just if they'd be able to get that whole composition working, but because they were in the open areas, because they were able to group up, like there was one fight bottom where you saw Ezreal kind of get caught, they went in straight for it, blew him up, because that coordination, that split call, just go for it right now, they were able to pick up those kills, and that's going to be hard for Immunity to deal with, because you see right there, if they make one mistake, well, they made one mistake earlier on. We're able to come back from that. But if they make like another one, then Gaming Gear will be able to take that and just take the victory against you.
So for Game 2, in terms of strategy and play style, obviously getting caught out and making mistakes, that's what you just don't need to do if you want to win games anyway. But did you see any weaknesses there maybe for Gaming Gear? I mean, when we casted their games yesterday, it was some of the games they really struggled to close out with, I'd say, where they had a good lead, but obviously caution got the better of them. But that can also lead you to losing the grip on the game.
Actually, to be honest, from yesterday to today, I saw a big change in their team. Like you said, they were really hesitant to close out games. They were really slow to do it. But here, they were being so much more aggressive. They were going for fights as much as possible. And that switch from overnight had to have helped them so much because Immunity's had time to research them from yesterday, obviously. And right now, Gaming Gear, I think they want to get Lee Sin again. Like, that pressure they put onto Immunity was just devastating early game. And if they can do that again, then Immunity's going to have a tough time dealing with it. But Immunity, they're going to be the ones probably banning out that Lee Sin, so they have a little bit more control early game. And hopefully with that control, they can take it into the mid and late game. And hopefully hopefully pick up a win.
Well, we'll see about that. It's time for us to take a short break here as Team Immunity and Gaming Gear switch up the colour of their fonts for the second showdown in this best-of-3 series. Plus, Immunity's manager Isotope will join us for the breakdown of game number 1. So stick around, guys, because we'll be right back here from Gamescom 2013.